Hey everyone, so I'm just sitting up in my room, and I like the song, but I just had a dream, and it was so very clear and vivid and meaningful, so I had to make a video immediately. There was someone following me around in a van, like a modern, real souped out van with all of this electronic, like satellite things at the top. Electrical equipment inside, similar to what FBI agents probably use when they set up outside to you know how they do, investigate someone. But this person appeared to be a woman. And I was in a city I haven't been in many, many years, apparently alone. I don't go anywhere without my kids. I'm a single mom now. So anyway, this person had been following me around from my eyes. She had been following me around. She or he, I don't know. It could have been a wig. I chased after her, but let me tell a story. I went into a restaurant that I had been in before. Now I'm with all of my family, right? So we go into the restaurant, we sit down, and then all of a sudden it's an Asian restaurant. It's Chinese food. But when I tell y'all, this is a restaurant like no other restaurant. I mean, it was so nice. It was like levels to it and booths off to the side and stuff. What Chinese restaurant got booths? They don't have booths. Y'all seen booths in a Chinese restaurant? I haven't. I have not. Anyway, and we all sat down at the table to eat. My mom was with me, and she's passed on. So it was fun. You know, it was like old times. I just woke up, so y'all gotta give me a second when I'm thinking of my words. I don't want to describe things. And I knew this person had been, like, stalking me. This person's following me around. So I'm like, what? You know, what do I do about it? And I've been in this situation before. So how do I say something to make others aware that someone's stalking me? You know? Like, I don't know, is this gang stalking or is this targeted stalking? You know, and why? I can't even explain why because I don't know. Something's in my eye. So we all got our food, we sat down and we ate. Then when we finished eating, all of a sudden the restaurant was now like a dealership. It was so weird and strange. It was a dealership, and so some of us had gone outside and we were looking at the vehicle, and then we came back inside. When they came back inside, if I turned my head, it was a restaurant, okay? But people were still talking about the vehicles. They were for sale. They were there. And I walked somewhere, and I turned the corner, and they were selling electronics. So I was like, what? And I remember I had this fancy phone. It was all souped up. Like, I had like a fancier phone than anybody else in my family for some reason. And I was thinking, what? It's weird. I can't even tell you what phone this is. I've never seen anything like it. Ever. It was shiny. It was like, maybe it wasn't an iPhone and it wasn't an Android. But we all had our phones because we were taking them out when we were eating at the table, right? So I was like, dang, look at my phone. Look at everybody else's phone. It was as if my phone was futuristic or something. And everybody else's phone was from normal present day. Because I can't explain this phone that I had in my hand with the screen and the graphics and the stuff that my phone could do, nobody else's could do. So this woman was starting arguments, right? I hear something else crazy about the dream. There was no sound. There was no sound up until a certain point. I just knew what was being said. Okay. So this woman, I don't know, I guess she was a waitress. But everybody's Asian. Okay, it's all Asian women. Young girls. And they were dressed in like, what do they call it? Let's just say they were dressed in historical items. Historical attire. And it was young girls, and they all had different colors on. There was an older woman who appeared to be their mom, or like the owner of the restaurant. And so I was thinking, oh my goodness, why are they trying to give us grief right now and start stuff? And this woman, y'all, I'm telling you, listen to the story. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, because I know my ancestors made me see this to tell me something. And it's how I say it, right? That's going to make it easier for other people, basically. This woman she would bring the food items, and it was a lot of us, so I wasn't necessarily sitting next to everyone. She would bring their plate, and then she would take it away, right? And then when they spoke up to say something about it, they were talking towards the end of the table where I was at and my mother was at, and my mom wasn't speaking, so it was like I said, it was just an enjoyable time. I was happy to see her, that kind of stuff. But like I said, there's no sound. There was no sound, absolutely no sound. Silent. But we were moving our mouth and talking. We were speaking. But there was no sound while we were inside this building. Yo, this woman was deliberately starting an argument, okay? Or trying to start an argument. Trying to, what do you call that? Where someone just keeps egging you. Yeah, I'm old school, so I don't know these words. It's like they poking you. Boop, boop, boop. And they come back and they do something else. Boop. Just to annoy you, to aggravate you, to incite anger in you. And then she ran and she got her mom. Then the two young girls came out and they started to bother and annoy me. So I stood up and I said something. And I know my voice was loud, but like I said, I didn't hear anything. And I remembered that in the dream, and now I didn't hear nothing. So they were like, something said, Octavia, they're recording you. And when I looked, after I had that thought, they had their phones in their hands. All three of them. It was women, Asian women, dressed in this ancient attire, presenting themselves as waitresses inside of this establishment. And they were recording me, and that kind of pissed me off. And I was like trying to grab their phone, and I kept thinking in my head, what is this? What is this? And I said, you know what? I said, there's someone outside this building doing something right now to make you all think that I'm an angry person, so that you could record me and get it on camera, me acting angry, to cause me to lose or to not receive something. I said, don't listen to her. I said, she's a stalker. They didn't care. because they were like, look, angry black woman, right? But it was like, you're aggravating someone, you're annoying someone, you're bringing them their food. And I don't mean food, I don't mean like an individual plate. We're at a Chinese family restaurant. Their tradition is to bring out the entire meal on a platter. They're taking platters of food away at a time. And so my family was upset, and then I couldn't see it when it was happening, and then it occurred to me. So I stood up to say something, right? That's not me being angry. That's me speaking up about what's going on here and why is it happening. You brought it, you took it away. Then I talked to you about it, then you brought it back. And as soon as I got up to go do something or go and say something, you took it away again. Then you brought it back. You see what I'm saying? It's like toying with someone. And then every time I said something about the platter being removed, it was a different person. So it happened 3 times. You hear me? 3 times before it was the next person, right? Which was the mom or owner of the establishment. And then for some reason, I ran outside. After I saw the cell phones, I ran outside. And y'all, let me just say this. I was in a big city, okay? And it was a woman, it was police everywhere. I think it was ICE, okay? There had been a death or a murder. I don't even know if I should say this. An esteemed black figure died. I'm trying to choose my words. Unintentionally, unexpectedly, and people were basically rioting. And it was so many black people outside. When I looked back at the restaurant, it wasn't a restaurant anymore. It was a used car lot or something like that. Like it was a small, you know how like large auto dealerships, they're huge lots. This was a small lot and it was on the street. And I could see people standing in the windows. This was weird, right? But I was surrounded by so many people. I kind of like went away with the crowd. So I went outside and I turned on my Facebook Live, which I've never done, y'all. I've never done anything like this ever in my whole life. And I wouldn't. I turned on my Facebook Live. Y'all, I want to tell y'all. And so all of these people are outside and I'm walking down the street. And then when people started running, I had to start running, right? Because I don't know if y'all were from a big city like where I'm from. So I started running. So they was like, yo, she on live. What you on live for? And when I was on live, I wanted to show the city that I was in, so I didn't have the camera on me. And I kept looking at the screen like, it's a lady across the street, and she is falling out. Like she's in like this really nice dress and it's colorful. And for some strange reason, that was the brightest color in the whole block, like both sides of the block. It was like she's the only one who had on color, and were the rest of us had on like now something dark where it didn't stand out, and it was nighttime. I forgot to say that it's nighttime, and she just keeps throwing herself on the concrete and flailing like a fish almost, but she's like wailing and screaming in grief. And we all are like, what? And it's this one guy. My city, y'all. It's this one guy. He's sitting in a lawn chair. Not even a lawn chair. One of those chairs you see when you go to your kid's school outdoor event. Right. He's sitting in a chair. He got mustache. He got a sweater and a button-up shirt with a tie. And he got like a cold glass beer, right? Which is also strange. But anyway, it's a black guy. And he was like, well, And everybody was like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? They was like, don't you see these police lights out here? Something just happened across the street. And I was like, yeah. And he said, somebody died. Just like that. But it was the way he said it, it was so eloquent. It was like the butler on the Fresh Prince. You remember how he used to speak? Somebody died. It was, and I just turned my head. I was like, who died, y'all? Who died? I was like, is that why y'all out here? And it was this woman in the van. Because for a second I forgot that I went outside because I wanted to, and that's why I didn't have the camera on me. I wanted to record the person sitting outside in their vehicle that keeps stalking me using electronics from their vehicle. And it was this modern van, like I told you at the beginning of the video. And it was an Asian woman. She had like a bob haircut, and it just kept swinging. I was like, man, their hair be so pretty when they style it. Anyway, I realized that was her who was causing all of the angst and disagreements with everybody inside the restaurant. So I'm walking now off the concrete back into the lot, right? And I'm recording her. That's why I didn't have the camera facing me. And I'm trying to get her license plate. Y'all, she had a Virginia license plate. I wasn't even in Virginia in the dream. That's where I live. I wasn't in Virginia. She had Virginia license plates. The front license plate was covered, which I know is illegal. It was covered in like one of those see-through license plate covers, but it was like tan or something, so it's difficult to see at night. So I thought she didn't have a license plate in the front, and I began to think, oh, she's not from the state. And I ran to the back of the vehicle. You guys, this was one of those, like I said, it was like futuristic though, right? It was modern. It was sleek. It was like a sleek, elegant, like I would compare it to those Mercedes Sprinter vans, but it was smaller than that. And it could hold less people. And as I was running on the side, she was running. So she could stand up in this thing, right? And she had a table around behind the passenger side. I had to think about it. With this setup, all of these computer screens, right? And keyboards. And she had these big, like, satellite things or whatever. Like she was broadcasting or a satellite, well, I guess that's a satellite broadcast stuff. Outside of her van, or like almost to like our cell phones. And the cell phones, y'all, were triggering us. It didn't hit my phone. It hit those people's phone. Everybody around me hit their phone. And it was like she was doing something, or he, like I said, it appeared to be a woman. But whatever she was typing or whatever frequencies, that whatever it was, program code she was sending out or he was sending out, was triggering these people to act violent and argumentatively with me. Just me. But it started out where they were toying and causing disagreements with others around me. This is classic gang stalking, y'all. And making it about me. That's gang stalking 101. They're doing something to other people to cause a disagreement and an argument, but made it about me. Okay? And then, when I stood up to say something, boom, cell phones was out. One chick had a flip phone. That joker flipped so quick and she was recording me. And I was like, dang, how she hit record that fast? I didn't even see her fingers move. And she was recording me. And that's why I ran out. Because look looked on their face and they were surrounding me like in a semicircle. And I said, heck no, something going on. Run outside, run into this lady in this van outside this restaurant, but outside is some kind of small car dealership, but inside it was this huge, really nice Chinese food restaurant. It's crazy. So what's significant here? Someone likes Chinese food. Something is about Asian people. Also, something is happening with people's electronics. They're about to start broadcasting and communicating stuff that is going to affect people's moods. All these people around us are not necessarily people. Some of these people are basically the sim in their phone. They're NPCs, you know? And so when you're an NPC in the Matrix, you don't walk around with your Xbox controller. You have your cell phone. You have your electronic device. And they were like, yeah, we got her. You got me what? Defending the fact that you're messing up our meal? Defending the fact that I'm going to have a reason to not pay you correctly because you're bringing out the dish and then taking it back? And then doing it repeatedly on top of that. And then taking it back and then didn't bring it back out. So anyway, I never go back inside the vehicle. I run after this woman. I'm running on the driver's side. She's running from the back side inside of the van to the driver's seat. I see her sit down. Y'all, the window of the van was like slanted. I'm telling y'all, this joker was sleek. Okay? It was like elegant. It was like it was a luxury car. Like a Maybach but it was a van. And before she got up out the chair that she was in, because she was in like a work chair, like a desk chair, an ergonomic chair. It was black and mesh and stuff. She did something like this, and then the satellites that was up top of her van was like this open, and then came back down into the van. And then she ran. By the time she sat in that seat, those satellite broadcast antennas was gone. And I'm trying to film the back of the car, and I start running behind the car, and I said, so I'm trying to zoom, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to chase a freaking vehicle. Who am I? Half the time, police can't even do that. I'm not a police officer. I knew I couldn't, so I'm trying to just get the vehicle plate. Yo, and then all the police lights everywhere. If it was ICE is not in police vehicles. But they said it was ICE. Or they made it seem like it was ICE. And it was two people who had on bright colors. The woman across the street, as I kept walking and I was filming. Now I was filming and talking about what just happened to me in the dream. But I was on Facebook Live, which I have never, ever done, ever. Not in my whole life. And this woman, this bright colored dress, just kept standing up and then throwing herself on the ground and then plopping on the ground like a fish. And then it was someone who was in front of me that I was approaching, right? But I stopped walking for a second. That was wearing a bright orange. I mean like neon orange. Y'all remember that bright neon orange from like the 80s shirt? But I couldn't see nothing else because it was just, and it was the way the police lights looked. You guys, it was like we were in a room. It was police lights on the clouds above us, like encompassing us, surrounding us. It was so fake. It wasn't real. But people were about to riot. Like everybody was just, like when previous people passed away and people just left out of their homes to go and riot their cities, just whatever they were dressed in, and that's how it was. But it was That's when the sound kicked in. Because the lady because remember, I heard the guy say, somebody died. The way, I was like, why is he speaking like that? Nobody in my city talks like that, you know? And when I say my city, I'm talking about my hometown. I'm like, nobody talks like that. Who is this guy? You know, he was weird and stood out to me. So I began to walk towards him. I noticed he was sitting, and we were all standing. There's a rock of people outside. We all standing, walking down the sidewalk, walking in, there's police cars in the street. We could not go in the street. We had to walk in the sidewalk and on the grass. And there's not much grass in the city that I'm from. Let me say that, by the way. Y'all, I kept saying, who died? So who was it then? They was like, go to your cell phone. And the person was looking at my phone like, they were like trying to point at the screen. Like, right? They kept doing one of these things. And like I said, my cell phone was like futuristic. I had never seen anything like it before. There's something coming, y'all. I thought of Google when Google just was on the screen. I didn't click nothing. I didn't. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. For someone to be able to drive by you and broadcast or simulate a disturbance, an argument through the cell phone. And mind you, it didn't go to the tower first because she was directly outside the building. Or he. Could have been a man wearing a wig. Real thin black dress. So I'm telling you. And I kept looking for the police. I remember I was thinking, well, where are the police? There's all these police lights everywhere. Where are the police? I didn't see any. It's like I was in a police state. I didn't pick up on any energy of, I read tarot, but I read energy as well. I did not pick up on any energy of violence or attacks, but I felt the spirit and the energy of, it's about to be a riot. I need to get indoors. So I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to run. I know I can run down the block here and make a turn, and I'll be at such and such house. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Because I felt like I couldn't go backwards. Isn't that weird? I couldn't go back to the restaurant. And I knew whomever was in that van was trying to cause me to react, to have a disagreement, to be argumentative, or possibly even fight with someone, to catch it on a video or a picture of it, a snapshot, if you will, so that they could tell someone, see, she's not who you think she is, but they're causing it. I'm not telling you this dream is about what's going to happen in the future, although could be a warning. But I'm telling you, there is someone who's going through this. I know I'm not the only one. Someone's going through this. Someone's stalking an innocent person, sitting outside the buildings that they're in, broadcasting things over a satellite through program code to try to make the others around her, but apparently that's working. Or him. Argumentative. I heard dissociative, making the people disassociate, and then the entities can take over. Because I don't know if you know, but that's what happens. Or whatever living beings within their skin at that moment. Now I'm here in time travel. Time traveler. To cause you to look like you're out of your character. Because you're a calm person. And these people or this person hates it. Like you are causing them to act peculiar, if you will. Peculiar. Because people are starting to look at this person and the energy that they give off. It's not mental illness. It's as if they are stalking you and harassing you and trying to aggravate you amongst a crowd. They're doing it as if it's their job. As if you work for them. But that's not the cause. The cause is because they don't want you to look like your normal self. They want you to look like an angry person. And it could possibly be an angry black person. Now, I didn't pick up that this person was racist. Not at all. I didn't see or feel or sense a racist energy, not a racist bone in this person. This person is just aggravated by you and is trying to slander you or me with some type of mental disturbance, program code, satellite frequency energy that they're sending into people's cell phones or their electronic devices. They want to make a statement, Spirit says. A statement about you. So that they can say, see, this person is not, she's not nice. She's not kind. She's not, I heard weak. They think you're weak-minded. Or that's what they said. So they're trying to show you as a weak-minded person or me as a weak-minded person. But you have free will. That's what Spirit just said. I know I do. Because I know that the things that I was doing in that dream, they didn't expect for me to do. Not at all. Not one bit, Spirit said. I am who I am. And the truth of me being whom I am bothers them. It's disturbing almost. This person is disturbed. They're disturbed. It's a mental, emotional, and physical thing. It's like someone who hasn't been diagnosed yet, and their illness, their mind's illness, is causing them to be sick, but it's also leaking into their spirit and causing them to be physically ill. Because this person was very thin, almost if they didn't eat a lot, but agile still. But I didn't sense mental illness. It's weird. It's almost as if this person is occupied. This person is occupied. You know, you go in a restroom stall and you lock it and it goes from available to, yeah, this person is occupied. There's something there that maybe is being seen as mental illness or even awareness, but it's not a human inside of this person. This person is occupied. This person's body or their soul is just a host for something. I had to make this video because I was like, I'm not going to forget this dream. And I don't care if it was a deep fake. I was actually moving in it and talking and responding and walking. And I went from a place where there was no sound, but we all could hear and respond to each other. And we're moving our lips like we were talking, and we knew what everyone was saying, to going outside to like chaos, disaster, catastrophe. It was a catastrophe happening outside because a major black figure had passed. And I was trying to see, was it murder? Because everybody was outside. All right. I can't go on anymore. That's the rest. That's the whole story. I've said everything that I was thinking of, and it took me this long. Anyway. Y'all be careful.